What's up? It's Matt. We are live Wednesday at 6 Eastern here, but where Ken is at across the pond in Australia, it's another day. Ken, welcome. How are you?
Hey, thanks, Matt. Great to be here. Really excited about this. Thanks. Yeah, 8 a.m. I got my early coffee, so I'm ready.
You got your coffee, and I've got a protein shake from a workout. So different times of day. So tell the audience who you are, where you're from, and what you do to start off with.
Sure. Ken Burgin, live in Sydney, Australia, near Bondi Beach, which everyone, if they've heard of one thing in Australia, probably that might be it. Not very far away in a nice area. And don't have restaurants and cafes now. Had them in Sydney, a while back in the 90s. Busy cafe, Italian restaurant, and love the business. Got to a point where I think a lot of people do, so I don't want to have one more conversation with a customer or a staff member and sell my businesses. And the whole selling of businesses is something you learn a lot from as well. And, they weren't done at the same time, so I was better selling the second one than the first one. Then went into the consultancy side of things, then flipped that to doing mostly online management, consulting and support, downloadable resources. I was doing a lot of podcasting at one stage, doing a lot of live events, love the training, love getting in a room full of people to, just talk. And I ask a lot more questions. I like to ask the questions rather than broadcast, because I really believe a good trainer has got to be in reverse gear. They've got to be pulling stuff out of the audience, because there's usually a lot of wisdom there. And, the way one person solved it is, turn a light bulb on for someone else. And, that networking and everything, because our restaurant and cafe owners, they don't get out of the house very much. When they do make the time, they love it. You can't shut them up. So you got to have good breaks and let them talk. But the whole education thing I like. And I sold my business. It was called Profitable Hospitality about 4 years ago to a finance company in Australia called Silver Chef, the largest hospitality finance business to New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. And then my job specifically was customer education, not about the product so much, but just about how to run business better, which is what I'm passionate about. And, we've got everyone from our little startups, because we take on the people with no credit history, not the kind of the bad ones, but, for a lot of people to get finance, to get their business started, banks don't want to talk to them. And they really shouldn't be using their credit card at 20% interest. So they're the people we finance. So there's a lot of education to do, and I've really been loving that. And the last couple of years doing live workshops there as well, 1 day, half day. Well, of course, the 2020 program, which was all due to start in March, all came to a grinding halt, like lots of things. And I'd already started doing a couple of webinars, and I used to do a lot of webinars. So I'm really comfortable in that area. And so I've kind of, the P word, pivoted to that, and doing those every 2 weeks now, and writing a lot of content. And just always look again, even in the live events. And I guess everyone now knows, every operator, what a Zoom meeting is and the whole thing. But it's like, wherever possible, we've got to get away from telling people and broadcasting and, snowing people with PowerPoints, and asking questions and getting the interaction happening. And that's where things come alive. I got one on this afternoon on menu design, and we're actually, menu design, menu engineering, that topic's been around for 20 years. A lot of people know the basics, even if they seem to ignore a lot of it. But this one, a good half of it's going to be about, digital menus, the menu that's on your phone, the menu that's on a website, the menu that's on a kiosk, those kind of things, because there's a whole lot of new stuff to look at there. And even last night, I went to an Indian restaurant, one that I really like. There were no menus. There was a QR code on a little card on the table, and that's how I haven't been back there for months, and they're pretty savvy, and that's how we looked at the menu. And there was limitations, it's like, it's a different way of setting things out. Anyway,
Yep.
All that stuff, the tools that people can use, that's the stuff that really gets me passionate about. But, deep down, I want people to be more profitable, have more time to themselves, because a lot of people are sadly slaves to the business. And it's a tough time.
Now
that's a short version, Matt.
It's a short version. The menu part I find fascinating because I've been doing digital marketing consulting since 2008. And I remember back in 08, 09, 2010, telling restaurateurs about Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube, your blog.
Young people stuff. That's what they told you, didn't they?
They looked at me like I had 3 heads. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, I started introducing, made no money off of it, but I would go to my clients because I had a lot of clients and we started working with more restaurants. I'm like, guys, here's a cool product called Single Platform. It gets you a digital menu on your website. You can change it one place. It changes all over the place. It looks good. It has pictures. It's not a PDF. I mean, you need to have something that, people are on their phone making judgment of your restaurant. And sure enough, none of them switched. Very few of them switched. And I looked today, like I'm at a restaurant the other day, and you scan the QR code, you go to their menu, and it's the clunkiest menu ever. And I can't.
Yeah, and it's probably on a PDF that you've got to be sort of stretching and you can't read. And see, menu, it's a selling tool. We're in the business of sales, and restaurant people know that. We've always kind of acknowledged that. We always get frustrated that our staff don't sell, because we haven't coached them enough. But the menu, the physical product, whether it's on a phone, on the wall, on a bit of paper, has got to do a lot of work, a lot more than it's being asked to do. And it's exciting to look at options like that.
What I love about the digital aspect of it is so many people's menus they had in their restaurants, they had white out on them. They had pieces of white paper over them. Prices change.
Don't you love that when the price has been changed with white out?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And they also they never hired the right people to do graphic design. And I'm like, guys, get on Facebook, get on Instagram, do a contest, get your customers to give you their favorite pictures of their favorite menu items. Go with your menu and have amazing pictures. Like don't have a cherry pie, apple pie, pecan pie. Have a freaking picture, because when people see something, they go, "Oh my God!"
Yeah. And a tool like Canva now, Canva.com, which is so easy, and you introduce people to that for to do design. They got hundreds of menu templates if you want to do a paper one again, or all sorts of other options. It's actually in your hands. I mean, we're still saying they should do it themselves. And I have a few reservations about, the restaurant owner, interviewing the chef and ordering the produce and sitting down and designing the menu. I think we got to get a bit of leverage happening, but the tools are simple and free, like you're saying. And just kind of come back to basic sales tool. It's, with one of the women I'm going to be interviewing this afternoon, she's got a great Vietnamese restaurant, and she's been on online, apps and delivery and all those sorts of things, plays it beautifully. And she's actually doubled her concentration now on the design and everything of takeout menu, because she said for her, that's actually now just edged to be number one source of sales, just ahead of sit down. And, it's not just an afterthought, this sort of thing. Anyway, it's lots to learn, and lots for people like you to kind of coach people on as well too. Yeah.
Yeah. If you imagine in the car business, like imagine if Chevy had a brochure that just said Chevy car, 4 doors.
Yeah.
No pictures. Yeah. And that's what really gets me.
That's right. And maybe they tell you how many miles a gallon, but reluctantly. Yeah.
They've got pictures. They've got everything. They've got 3D tours. And I was actually talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about that. I don't know how it is in Australia, New Zealand, but in the States, third-party delivery has really taken a new step forward. And a lot of people are experiencing their favorite restaurants through third-party delivery, but they're also experiencing new restaurants for the first time through third-party. And I was telling a restaurant, I'm like, man, don't put that lame menu you've got in your place. It needs to be a nice, colorful, and a sales brochure, so that when
because you're up you're up again against that new place that opened 3 months ago that spent a bomb on design, and the only comparison now is what's on the screen. Their beautiful looking menu, or your kind of East German one. Sorry if anyone's German here, but you know what I mean. It's just like someone said that to me the other day. Something looked like, Soviet era. Some things just look so plain. Yeah. So yeah.
So
there's lots of new stuff to learn there. I guess that comes back to, do restaurant and cafe people want to keep learning? It's exhausting, isn't it? Boy, the learning curve in the last 3 months. Wow. I'm tired. People are tired.
It's good because I don't know how it is there, but at least here, I've got a couple restaurants in Australia that have evolved and done things they weren't doing 6 months ago. I was talking to Brent down there, and he's been forced to learn things in that off time that he might not have done then. But like, for example, we were talking about offline about the power of, different social media networks. So like, this is live on LinkedIn right now. I don't see very many restaurateurs using LinkedIn to tell their stories. That's a huge
opportunity. I mean, it's so easy just to throw a photo onto Instagram and Facebook, and people still don't do enough of that or with enough care, but that's another story. But LinkedIn, I mean, everyone says, I really want the people with a bit of money. I really want the people, with in business, or people who've got discretionary spending. I really after, 30 plus age group or whatever. Well, guess where they're hanging out? And LinkedIn has just introduced a new little feature, LinkedIn Stories. It's only in the last week. And I quite like it because I try and post virtually every day on LinkedIn with something a little more serious, to my own link to my own content, or, interesting stories that I've seen. But, I go for an early morning walk, and when I see, say, a beautiful shop window or a new restaurant design or just something, I'm just now throwing that on LinkedIn Stories. And, LinkedIn rewards activity. If you're active on LinkedIn, they'll start to show your stuff to more people. So I mean, and just connecting up with locals in your area, you can do a LinkedIn search and you can find, your geographical area. You might target real estate operators, or you might want to target, people with a certain title, marketing managers or something like that, because they might be the people you think are your customer demographic. Make friends with them on LinkedIn. Now send out, I'm pretty kind of random, though, not too random, but I'm pretty energetic the way I may send out requests. I get about 25 to 30% of people who I ask to connect with actually agreeing to. But, when you send out hundreds of requests, that's, eventually hundreds of new connections you've got. So,
and also, I think one of the big missed opportunities on LinkedIn is that there's a lot of people on there that are they're more than just a consumer. They're the decision maker for a bunch of consumers. So as businesses are doing catering in office, when the office environment comes back, which it will in the next couple of months, they're doing parties, they're doing, catering offsite, they're pharmaceutical reps. And it's a great opportunity. And like you mentioned, it's a higher level person because, people that with no jobs typically aren't the mass consumer on LinkedIn. It's the professional.
You know what I would love more restaurants to do now, if they're, say, only open in the evening, or only open, say, 5 nights or something like that. They have got interesting spaces which could easily be rearranged for that sales meeting for 30 people or something like that. Now, typically, who gets all of that? The boring, bland hotel. It's a beige room with white tablecloths and the square, and they do it perfectly. There's no room. There's coffee on arrival. There's kind of mediocre sandwiches at lunchtime, and the whole thing. Yeah, and no interruptions. It's just right. Now, the restaurateur, you can't just say, "Here's our space, take it all out." We got to rearrange the place. We got to set the tables out. We might have to go and invest in a screen and a whiteboard, and we got to tell the kitchen they got to be quiet during the daytime or whatever it is. Yep. But this is easy money. Coffee on arrival, you can do that. It's $500 for the room hire, or maybe it's free for the room hire, and there's a catering menu. But work that real estate. That's exactly the kind of stuff you promote on LinkedIn, because the people, as you said, who make the decisions about, catering and venues and all those sorts of things, they're hanging out there. The other thing I'd say is about LinkedIn is don't forget, as a restaurant owner, as a cafe owner, when it comes to networking, you are the most interesting person in the room. Now, operators are often too busy, too tired to go to the Chamber of Commerce meeting or the mayor's launching, some new urban initiative or something like that. These are great places where you do meet people. And it's funny how operators are sometimes absolutely life of the party in their own venue, and then they seem to be terrified and shy in these venues. Anyway, let's assume they get along there. But do people want to talk to the real estate broker? Do they want to talk about the new finance guy? Or do they want to talk to the restaurant owner? We know the answer. So take lots of cards. Lots of cards.
Look at the opportunity you have. The only person in that room that can easily give out something that they actually want for free is the restaurateur. Yeah. I've got a friend of mine who owns a brewery, and he's got VIP owner cards that are good for a free beer. And they only come from him. Everybody at the place knows they only come from him. So they're honored and they're treated at a high esteem. He goes to he goes networking. And people know. And you're the being the life of the party. They're like, that's the dude that has the free beer cards. And then they start they start having after hours there. They start having events there. It's a huge opportunity.
Yeah. And see, we've got events. Look, our sit-down business has been cut to ribbons, and we've re-pivoted to, a lot more takeout, a lot more delivery and stuff like that. But events reimagined is something we can do as well, which might be, private parties or, particular dinners or beer tastings or something like that. Normally we just want to sell the tables and keep turning them over because there's probably more money to be made that way. But again, reimagine your space, reimagine the E-word events, and have a bit of fun with this. And probably don't go back, because the operators you're probably talking them to who are doing well in this, they're making more money with fewer staff and lower wage costs. And they're saying, what was I doing before?
I had a restaurant owner I talked to the other day who was like, Matt, I'm kind of at a weird crossroads because May of 2019, we were 95% sit down, 5% pickup carry out. In May of 2020, we were 100% carry out and delivery, and we did better. And he's like, our margins were a little worse, but our sales were 8% higher. I know I'm obviously going to open my dining room up, but now I'm thinking about, okay, well, how do I keep those people, a fair share of people, ordering and buying from us and not sitting down? Because at the end of the day, it helped me run the restaurant smoother. It was more predictable. It was, orders food and they're driving here in 25 minutes. You don't have that person out there wondering what's going on.
More legs on the table. I always hate when I see a three-legged table or a table stand with three legs in a restaurant, because it's always going to tip over if you lean on. No matter what side you lean on, it's going to tip over. It's unstable. And a lot of places, the legs on their table, their sort of income sources is, sit down, a bit of takeout, and that was kind of it. That's a two-legged table. That's a problem. But the more income sources we can have, whether it's some sort of events, the takeout, the delivery, the catering, the sales meetings on the days where we're closed, suddenly we've got a much stronger structure. We've also got something when we want to sell that's much more saleable too, because we don't have peaks and troughs as much. And, we weather. This is a brutal time. I feel for all of you in the US, what's happening there. We just sort of see it on the news. It's really, it's really tough, and it's not as bad as you probably see on the news. We have, in my opinion, we have a news media over here that, they like to make everything 10 times worse than it is. Yes, there are. It's the old media. If it bleeds, it leads, doesn't it? Yeah. That's the story. The way the stories work. Anyway, we're here to celebrate the people who, making changes, being quick off the mark, innovating, and around the digital thing, which we were talking about earlier. This is just really kind of catching up with customers, isn't it? And in my 60s. You know, don't tell me I'm not interested in digital or something like that. You know, the restaurant I was at last night, when I was explaining, you know, it's a place where everyone, you know, goes because it's comfortable. It's not the place where millennials go. It's a bit too dear and just too many tablecloths or something. But everyone was on their phone. Everyone was using their phone. That's how that's their life.
Well, cool. Well, I enjoyed our conversation. I look forward to having more in the future. Anything you want to
Great, Matt. Nice to talk to you.
How people can reach out to you?
Yeah, well, connect with me on kenburgin.com.au. I'm on LinkedIn. Love to connect with you as well. Send me an invite. I'm on Twitter as well. I use Twitter a lot, really like that. So, yeah, let's connect. Let's talk. And, all strength to you, Matt. Doing a great job. Thank you.
Make sure you go on LinkedIn and Twitter and retweet this and share this video because it's on there right now. And
nice one.
I appreciate your time. Have an amazing Thursday.
Thanks, Matt. Cheers.
Cheers.